Hello everybody, Zach here, and welcome back to another vlog slash, I'm doing another 5 reasons I love. This actually will be a 5 reasons I love, and it will be 5 reasons why I love the Miata. So let's just hop right into it. Reason number 1. It's one of the easiest rear-wheel drive vehicles to drive. It's very responsive. The steering is, mine has power steering, but the steering is overall very responsive to your inputs. I'm just like wiggling it back and forth, and the wheels are going exact. There's not really, there's enough of a dead zone that on the highway it's okay, but it's very responsive, as well as to, if you end up losing the rear end, let off the gas and you'll pretty much save yourself 9 times out of 10. There's not a lot of rear-wheel drive cars where you can say that. They are cheap to maintain. So my Miata has over 236,000 miles on it, and since I've owned it, I've probably owned it less than 7,000 myself. I bought it for less than $2,000, and I haven't put much into it other than oil, a battery, and an alternator. I mean, I paid for, you know, Pennsylvania emissions and inspection and all that stuff, but overall, extremely cheap to own and drive and operate and all that stuff. These cars were very cheap back in their day. They were the cheap man sports car, and they still maintain that, as well as too, they haven't really held up in value. I mean, but that being said, 20 some odd year old cars, and they continue to make new versions of them, so it makes sense that they don't really, unless you have certain specific models, they don't really maintain value or appreciate in any sense of the way. That being said, I would recommend you get one with less miles, just because less wear and tear on certain components. But even at 236, mechanically overall my car's in good shape. There's not a lot of cars with over 230,000 miles that you can usually say that about. And I don't really have that much history of the car overall, but from what I've seen, you know, in past, it was maintained decently throughout the years, if not visually, at least mechanically. All right, number 3, they are a small, they're a small 2-seater, technically a true Roadster. Yes, they're a convertible, but at the same time, for how small they are, it still fits my 6-foot tall, decently weighted body in it with no problem. There's also too, the person that owned my car before did some tall big man deletes, and what that means is I don't have visors. I also too, the seat that I'm in had foamectomy is what they call it in the Miata community, and that's where they remove a bunch of the foam so you can actually sit more down in the seat. And that works perfectly because, I mean, it does. Like, I actually can sit, fully back and comfortable. I wish the seat was a little higher. I mean, as you can see where my head is and where the actual headrest is, I wish that was higher. But other than that, what are you really going to do to get an experience like this? Unless you go with a 2-door coupe muscle car, you're not really going to have an insane amount of room in most of these smaller cars. And there's much more room than most of the European equivalents prior to this. I mean, that's what the Miata is essentially. It's the Japanese, it's the Japanese solution to European Roadsters. Number 4, it's convertible. So people either love or hate convertibles. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I didn't necessarily get convertibles before driving the Miata. I mean, look at this right now, and there's going to be variations of sun and shade and all that stuff in my video, of course, but it's an absolutely amazing experience when it's nice out. Of course when it's nice out. But seriously, it is. It's such an open feeling, not only for fresh air, but you also get like an amazing view. There's sometimes too, Pennsylvania surprises you with how awesome some of the stuff looks through here. Some people would argue it's just a bunch of farmland, it's just a bunch of mountains and stuff, but seriously, some of the views back here are actually like amazing how how everything looks, and the convertible is the perfect essence of that. Some people would say too, oh, a Miata hairdresser car, and it being a convertible and it being a little two-seater car, you have to be feminine or you have to be a girl to like it. No, I think that we're past that, but there are still people out there that are like, no, it needs to be like this or it needs to look like this to be manly. No, not in my opinion, at least. I'm fully confident in my manliness and my ability driving this, that I don't need that. Wow, it is windy. I apologize. There's some nasty looking clouds up there too. All right, number 5, the overall experience. So this is a 19-year-old car with over 235,000 miles, and it brings such great joy to me while driving it. The back roads are insanely fun. It is underpowered, and some could say that's a negative, but it's a positive in the sense that I would much rather, I think I even said this in one of my vlogs, I would much rather drive a slow car or a underpowered car fast than I would have hundreds of horsepower and not be able to drive it, be stuck behind traffic, or even on back roads and not be able to fully open it up. Now, don't get me wrong, power in a straight line is the best. It's one of the best things ever. That's why V8s exist. That's why muscle cars exist. That's why that's one of the American things is to have and drive a muscle car. But seriously, for the power to weight ratio, and it's one of those cars too that has given me, that was a quick stop and I apologize, one of those cars too that is just like almost every time I drive it I smile or I'm happy driving it. There's not a lot of cars out there that you can say that about. Man, it is so windy. Maybe I should have put the windows up. We'll see. Well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? The gearbox is also, so this is kind of like, I'm boiling this all down into this number, but the gearbox is also so perfect. The clutch feels really good. The shift is almost like in other cars, like a short shifter, but it's just because the gearbox and the way it was built. What else? I'm just trying to think of anything else. The pedal placement is really good. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wish there was a little bit more space in the cab, but at least in terms of, I'm more leg than I am upper body. So I wish there was more space down there. There is a dead pedal, but it's not really effective, at least with my big feet. But other than that, it's hard to argue with such a, most of the time, cheap vehicle that gets the gas mileage it does, that gets the performance that it does. And I know that's a hard, weight, power to weight is what's important in this car, and it's very much so, it's very much so a momentum based car, as like the smoking tire would say. You want to take this through the turns and use the ability of it going through the actual turns rather than the power that it has behind it to get you through. So maintaining momentum, and that's what these cars 100% are. And I don't think, this 5 reasons I love is gonna be anything different from pretty much anybody that has driven a Miata feels. But to me, it's so good. And people have also like asked me in questions and answers and some other just on Twitter and stuff, like, what would you buy new if you had to buy a new car? I would probably buy, if I didn't have this, or if this was on its last leg or what have you, I'd probably buy a brand new Miata. I know that there have been some, like the steering, because there's a lot of electronic based things in most newer cars, and one of them is like the new Miata has like more of electronic based steering. But I've heard such good things, and it's about the same weight as this, and there's a lot of things to love. And I think, in America you can get a 2-liter engine, which this is a 1.8. So yeah, there's a lot of good, and I hope too that you watching this video, you kind of get more or less why the Miata is loved if you didn't already before. So much wind. I apologize. What else? Well, I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say, if there was anything else I wanted to say. Oh, also too, safety. This was actually not on the list, but for it being a car as old as it is, and I've just recently, I've said it multiple times in multiple other videos, but I just recently hit a deer in the front end. A small deer, I literally pretty much didn't even see it, like in a flash. But I'm all right, as well as my car overall. I bent back the pieces that I needed to bend back, and I picked up another bumper. So it could have been one much worse, and for such a small car, it was actually surprisingly okay. As well as two, what was I gonna say? I've seen some, articles about these actually getting in crashes, and for how old they are and for what safety components they do have, they actually fare pretty well. Definitely like the new ones, or the newer ones, fare even better, of course, because we're adding safety features time and time again. But compared to big, huge muscle cars, these tend to fare better. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. But besides the point, I'll let you guys go. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I plan on doing a 5 reasons I hate my Miata as well, because of course everybody loves hating things. It's just, that's how the internet works, right? Because like the 5 things I hate about my ZVP, I did better than the 5 things I love. So it's what it is. Anyways, guys, until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.